Well, what does Indiana football winning the national championship and writing, creating, living a worthy life, a good life have in common? Well, let's get into it today. So, if you have not heard, Indiana University won the national championship, the football championship. Now, for some of you, that may not mean anything. That may not be important in your life. It's not that important in my life. But I was enthralled, I was intrigued by this Indiana football team. And here's why I was intrigued by it. So, Indiana University football is a terrible football program. 5 years ago, they've lost more games than anyone in the history of football. They had never won a national championship. They're a small school when it comes to football, very good school when it comes to basketball. But Indiana football championships do not go hand in hand. And so they bring on this new coach, Kurt. I can never say his last name. But anyway, they bring on this new coach. They begin to recruit 2-star, 3-star, a few 4-star recruits, which is good in football. But they were not well known. They didn't have all the fancy players. They didn't have all the fancy coaches. They were kind of under the radar. And so the last 2 years, Indiana has won more games and they've turned around their program better than any program in the last 50 years. And doing that with a no-name coach, doing that with no-name players, doing that without fancy facilities, doing that without a reputation of even attracting good players and high talent players. So what does that have to do with writing, creating, living a good life? Well, as I was thinking about it, is we fall into this trap of this is the only way you can do something. That there's one way to do this. Let me give you an example. So if you're a writer and you're writing a book, you say, you know what, the only path for my success is if I get a traditionally published deal. I need to be part of the big 5 publisher. That's the only way that I can ever get my books in the hands of readers. Well, we know that that has changed. There is self-publishing options. There is small press options. There's hybrid press options. It's kind of a combination of traditional and indie publishing or self-publishing. And so that used to be the only option. You got to get your book into the hands of traditionally published in the traditionally published world, and that's it. Now, there's also this other side of validation. Well, it's only if I get my book in traditionally published, then I'm seen as a good writer. But here's the reality is there's so many bad writers and so many bad books in traditionally published outfits. That's just reality. But you have to have a big following. You have to have 1 million people on social media. And so we think there's only one way to get my book into the hands of readers, but it's simply not true. Now, if we break that down even more, you'll get lots of advice on YouTube, including myself. And that's why I always say, take my advice lightly. You'll say, hey, there's only one way to write a book. And the only way to write a book is you have to outline your book to death. You need every chapter outlined. You need every character outlined. You need every word of dialogue outlined. If you're writing nonfiction, you need to have all the ideas, all the research done, all the subheadings, all the chapters completed before you can write a book. And yet you realize that some people outline and some people don't. There's more than one way to do it. You could write in long sessions, thousands and thousands of words, or you can write 500 words at a time, 15 minutes at a time. Everybody is different. Some people write early in the morning. Some people write late into the evening. Some people write over lunch. Some people dictate their stories. Some people write by hand. Some people use a typewriter. Some people use a computer. What is my point? Well, the point is when you look at the success of Indiana University football, everybody said this program can never be good. This program will never have success. There's too much going against it. Nobody wants to go there. No coaches want to go there. And yet this coach had the belief to say, hey, there's always a possibility. And he said in his interview, he said, if you work hard, it's amazing what good things can come to you. Because I think the key thing is it's so easy, especially now with the internet. The internet's actually worked against us. Let me just be honest. And here I am on the internet and social media. Well, social media, internet has kind of warped our minds because here's what it tells you. It tells you you can't do it. There's so much complaining on social media, so much complaining on YouTube, so much complaining from the creative and author communities. My books aren't selling. I can't get my words out there. There's just so much noise and so many people publishing books. Well, let me let you in on a secret. It's always been this way. There's just not as many publishers and there's just not as many opportunities. Well, actually, that's not even true. There's not as many traditional publishers, but there's more publishers than ever. There's more platforms to get your work out in the world. And yet what we do is we complain. But like Indiana University, he said, hey, let's just work hard and see what happens. Right? Let's work hard and see what happens. There's more ways to do this. There's not only one way. There's not only one program that is successful. It's not just the Alabamas of the world or the LSUs of the world or those who have won national championships in the past, but why can't Indiana be a powerhouse? Why can't they have a new day and a new culture? And that's why I love this story, because what happens is a group of people come together and they rally together and say, hey, we actually can do this. We can find even a different way of doing this. Now, I think another example is just, again, the fear over AI. Here's the thing about AI is everybody doesn't use AI and they will not use AI because they don't care about AI and they don't know how to use AI. It's not a have to thing. It's not a must have thing. It's like everything. Social media is not a must have. It's not something you have to use. Tell themselves, I have to be on social media. I have to have all the apps. I have to be on there constantly, but you don't. I love Cal Newport and his work, Deep Work, and his other books. He's a millennial. He doesn't have a social media account. Yet he's written best-selling books. He has a YouTube channel, but he doesn't live on social media. He's kind of debunked the idea that, you have to be everywhere all the time. But see, there's always different ways of doing things. But the thing is for us is we always want to do the easy thing. We don't want to put in the hard work. We don't actually want to write the words. And so what we do is we say, well, the algorithms aren't working. Amazon's a joke. Publishers are a joke. They don't see my genius. And yet, like the football coach at Indiana University said, hey, if you work really hard, and you believe, it's amazing what good things can come. Because there's always other ways of doing things. And that's the thing. Like when I've interviewed, at this point, hundreds of writers and creators and entrepreneurs and faith leaders. And it's funny when I hear their stories, I don't hear just one common thread. Like this is the only path to success. This is the only way to get your work out into the world. I hear a plethora, dare I say, a plethora of options, of ways, right? Some published 20 books before they hit it. Some hit it on their first one, right? Some did nonfiction, then they did fiction. Some did self-publishing. Some did traditionally publishing. Some did a combination of both. Some write in the morning, some write in the evening. Some have families, some don't. Some are men, some are women. Some are tall, some are short. Some are old, some are young. None of that matters if we put in the work. If we do the work, one word after the other, one sentence after the other, one paragraph, one page. And that's why I think this applies to life as well, is every day is the opportunity to put one, as cliche as it sounds, put one foot in front of the other. It's easy to be cynical. That's the air we breathe in our culture. It's easy to say there's no options for me. There's no way around this. But what it takes is putting one foot in front of the other, doing the work that you've been called to do, hour by hour, sometimes even minute by minute, caring for the relationships that you have right in front of you, finding creative solutions to not just buy in, to say, this is the only way that we can have success. This is the only way that I can have a successful life. And yet what happens is we buy into that trap, into that lie. And yet here is a great example of Indiana University saying, hey, there's more ways to be a championship team. You don't have to have the recruiting depth like in Alabama. You don't have to have all the high paid coaches. You don't have to have all the 5-star, 4-star recruits. You don't have to be a known program to have success. And that applies to life. You don't have to be famous to get your work out in the world and to make something beautiful in this life. You don't have to have a following. You don't have to be a big deal on social media. As much as the social media gurus will tell you that that's how it is or the only way it can be, it's simply not true. Because there's almost 8 billion people, maybe at this point, 8 billion people on the planet with different stories and different experiences and different paths of success in life, success in business, success in creativity. And I think Indiana University is a great example of how there's just a lot of different ways to do the work you've been called to do. So my encouragement to you today is be the best version of you. Do the work you're called to do and do it in your way and do it with all your might and do it humbly and do it the way that you believe you should be doing it. And don't worry about everyone else's story and the ways in which everyone else does it. Because I think people on the internet and social media, they're just looking for the easy button. They're looking for the easy path. They think it's like, hey, I got this book and, if you could just tell me which publisher I need to talk to and then I can just get it out in the world, like as if it's that easy. And they just want simple because they see people with success and they see people sharing their best stories and they go, well, that's obviously can be me because I'm a better writer than them. I'm a better leader than them. My church is bigger than them. My church should be that big, right? All those things. So look at Indiana University football and say, hey, there's more ways to do this. So what are those ways for you? Leave it in the comments. What are some things you're learning about the creative journey? What are some things you're learning about your life that you said, hey, I thought this is the only way you can do things, but I really believe I'm doing it this way and I'm really having success. Share those in the comments. Make sure to like this video if you like this kind of stuff. Subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to get it off the ground if this encourages you and helps you in some way. Thanks for following along, and grace and peace to you, and I'll talk to you real soon.